right now? Because I'm not interested in that particular concept.
You see, I'm not actually
interested.
when you discuss.
Sorry,
No, it's right.
I'll let you go back to yours.
Whenever you discuss a particular issue,
I'll let you go back to this discussion.
if you
Yeah, it's all kind of intertwined, isn't it?
yeah. But if you say I'm not interested in X and Y and Z, I mean this is not actually a good enough way of dealing with the issue. I could say I'm not interested.
It's getting to the specific issue and
I'm
trying
not,
to understand the root cause behind it, which is why I'm giving you the floor to answer that question.
I'm saying to understand the root cause of things is to go to the very fundamentals of the core principles of a particular religion. So if, for example, you're talking about Sharia, obviously you're talking about Islam.
It's
so
correct.
In Islam, do we have any evidence that the belief originates from our God?
The same exists under Christianity too. So
yeah, but you're not discussing Christianity, are you?
That's right.
Right. So you should really discuss this issue. Do you have any evidence that this is indeed coming from the Creator? Because if the Creator says, for example, nice to your brother, be smiling to your brother, and that becomes a part of worship, you might question, why is smiling a worship? You can question anything. And this is true. Smiling to your brother, fellow brother or a sister is considered to be part of worship in Islam. But if you then question why is it, then you can question anything. So before you start questioning X, Y, and Z, we are witnessing this. There are certain things within the law, any legal system, whether it's this country, whether an Islamic country, where you might disagree with it because of your own perception of the reality and morality, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. So we need to discuss the sources of morality and which morality we should one follow. Because if we don't have a standard, then we can't really somehow say this is wrong or this is right and this is justifiable, this is not justifiable. So what are the sources of morality?
So I think it's innate. I think consciousness gives you your moral compass. That's where you basically.
So is it the same for everyone?
Derive all of your values from.
Is it the same for everyone then?
No, I think that some people are brought up in particular. I was brought up a Christian, and so I was brought up to believe in the Ten Commandments and the Bible and all those things. I chose to reject that. I became educated, and I didn't believe that it was the Word of God.
So it's not your conscience; it's from something else.
Yeah, I believe it's innate. I believe that I was able
to
develop.
If it's innate, how does it change?
Because I had ideas and concepts imposed upon me. I wasn't mature enough to really understand them. So the more I learnt, the more I studied, the more I observed the world and had experience.
Do you call that innate, or is this something called?
I actually probably grew through experience.
Is this acquired knowledge, or is this innate? Because you're defining or explaining an acquired knowledge.
I don't think it's external, I think it's internal when I say innate. So I think it comes from within.
No, if it's internal, it should be the same for everyone. But the fact that you can come out of whatever you think it is, you had one state of morality once, and then you have developed yourself through your learning to something else. Where is the innateness coming in here?
Because it comes from within. It's natural progression. It's an influence from externalities, but the actual moral compass comes from within. It doesn't come from external.
So you're saying...
So for instance, no, let me finish.
Go ahead.
So it doesn't come from the Ten Commandments, it doesn't come from the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. It comes from my own experience, so from within. Okay. So that's how I define.
Let me try to understand this issue. You see, taking drugs, recreational drugs, is it good or bad, according to standards of morality that you think is innate?
I don't care. Like I personally don't have a view. I don't have a view.
The question is not about whether you care or not. The question is,
I think it's up to the
individual. To understand whether some things are innate or not. So when it comes to issues of using recreational drug for fun or for happiness, whatever that might be, if it comes from, if the right or wrongness comes from innate disposition, right? Then we should be able to understand that. It's not good enough just to say I don't care. I mean, you might not care, but we need to understand where it's coming from.
But how does this go back to my initial question?
Yeah.
I actually want to talk about the initial.
Source of morality.
We've talked about my personal morality came from. I want to talk about where your sense of morality comes from now, and just understand, because my understanding is it's from a set of rules. It comes from Sharia, Hadith, and Quran are probably the key texts that inspire and define your morality. So under Sharia, what is the punishment for sodomy? And because I'm asking that because I'm a sodomite, so I'm curious to understand.
Sure, of course.
What the
Anything that affects you, you'll work to
Correct. So
understand.
This is where I'm really.
But I'm saying, just having an answer. For example, Islam doesn't punish anyone for their homosexual tendencies,
No,
or
but
any
for
tendencies.
for the act of sodomy, what is the punishment under Sharia?
If there is a punishment for the acts done in public, explicit acts in public sphere, there is a punishment.
Right, what
Clearly.
is that punishment?
It's not about what the punishment is. What I'm
It
trying
is
to
about what the
understand,
punishment
what I'm
is. That's
trying
my
to understand,
specific question.
listen, what I'm trying to understand is
you
this.
have to obey whatever the religion says before coming onto that point. Why are you, without even considering what it tells before that, going to that point?
Because I want to actually work
First
out whether...
come and
what-
consider the
what I'm-
other, like, you know, the 10 Commandments, and, you know, in Islam.
But what I want to know is
first
what is the
do
commandment
what comes.
first. Let's start. What
See,
is the
see, see.
commandment? Then I want to understand what the fundamentals
Let's-
under that is. 'Cause
No,
I
no,
don't
we're
know,
not-
have I got it right or am I wrong?
You're discussing, for example, let's start with very basics. Homosexual actions,
Yes.
is it good or bad? According to the standards of morality which you think is innate.
Good.
Why is it good?
Because I think it's natural.
No. It's, there are a lot of
I
things
think
which
it's
are,
natural,
for
just like
example,
heterosexuality. It's fine.
okay,
It's natural.
you know, some people naturally
Animals
have the
have
tendency to kill people. There are a lot of people who have this natural desire to kill people. It's good according to your argument.
But is that ethical?
Listen, we cannot shift
No,
the goal
yeah, I
of
can answer that question.
our
I think
standards.
that killing people is actually impinging on someone else's liberty. Homosexuality, heterosexuality doesn't actually harm people.
In your opinion,
Yeah, absolutely
right?
not.
But
Whereas-
I disagree with your
whereas
opinion.
murder
For example,
harms someone and it's not
There are
voluntary,
sex
it's
slaves.
involuntary control and
Do you
the
think-
taking of someone's
Okay,
life.
let's
That's not voluntary and it's harmful.
so now we're shifting our goals to.
Homosexuality is not.
Okay, let's understand that. We're shifting our goals now to, you know, what makes something right, something good, or something wrong or evil. So you said it's to do it if it doesn't impinge on people's safety, it doesn't impinge on people's liberty, and so on, right? You're coming up with this kind of understanding. If you do you have a father?
I do have a father.
So if you sleep with your father in a homosexual act, is that wrong morally?
Is it wrong morally?
With consenting, of
If we
course.
both consent? No, I don't think it is wrong.
So
No,
it's not wrong.
under my particular
Yeah. So in your particular,
value system,
in your
I don't
particular,
think- would I do that? No. If you
it's
chose
not about
to
you're
sleep
doing
with
it
your
or
father,
not.
I
It's not
wouldn't
about
care. It's
no.
none of my business.
It's not about care. or not. We need to understand
I
what
don't
makes
care.
something. Okay, fine. So it's not
So
going to be
long
wrong.
as so long as it's not harmful.
So
for
if
anyone.
you have a son sleeping with his mother, two consenting individuals, it's still okay according to your standards.
No, I don't. To my standard, I personally don't think that's
No.
okay for me.
We want to know whether it's
But I don't-
okay according to your
I'm
standards
not
of
into
morality.
that. Well, I'm not into that.
I'm
I
asking
don't find
about-
that. I don't find that that's something that I'd want to do.
It's not about what you want.
that's how-
According to your
I don't
standards
find
of
it-
morality, is it okay, is it good if they're two consenting adults, like a father and a daughter, or a son or a mother, and if they want to have an intimate relationship, according to your standards of morality, is there anything wrong with it?
If they're of the age of consent,
Mm-hmm.
then no, they can do what they like. I personally don't. I wouldn't be into that, but under my standards of morality, that's exactly what my position would be, I suppose.
So there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Well, I personally wouldn't do it, no. But
Now,
I'm
they
not-
ask you about your personal-
I don't believe
You
that
see-
the punishment for doing that would be.
No, we're not discussing whether you like it yourself or not. We are discussing the
I'm a
standards of morality.
libertarian, so I can't impinge on what people do.
Sorry?
I'm a libertarian, so I can't impinge on what people do. So I personally don't think it's.
What does it mean you're
A
libertarian?
libertarian means that I don't believe that I can impinge on other people's rights and liberties.
Right. So that means everyone has their own views and it's okay.
Provided it doesn't harm people.
Yeah. So if, for example, you live in a society, in this society, can you do whatever you want to choose to do?
No.
The
There are
society.
laws and regulations.
So basically, the country infringes on your liberty.
Yes, but I also
Right.
have a
Is
say.
there anywhere in this
I
world-
also have a say in those people that are making those decisions as well.
But
through
still, you haven't able to change.
and those laws change over time as well, whereas the texts don't change.
Yeah, but what you are saying now, you're libertarian, and yet you have been enslaved in a system which you're constantly trying to change to your own wishes and whims.
That's right, because
Right.
we change. It's called
Right.
progress. So
Right.
things evolve. Going back to what you mentioned
Right.
about my innate moral compass and how that's changed since I was a child.
That's not innate.
That's the same.
That's if you're acquired. You're
No,
acquiring
but it
new
comes from
information.
within, or my internally acquired moral compass.
No, it's the
That changes
society,
over time.
the
Just like
environment.
society changes over
No,
time.
no, it's the society, your environment, your learning, your some kind of perception of things. They are modifying and modeling your behavior. That's what it is. It's not innate. This is something your learned behavior.
It's not just
if it's innate,
because you
why
and I
does
have a very different perception. We've been brought, we're living in the UK, we've got the same externalities influencing us, but we have very different points of view and perspectives.
So now you have your view, and let's say I have my view, right? So if I want my view, that everyone should have their own views, how is society going to function?
Well,
everyone has their own
democracy, so everyone has an opinion, everyone has a vote.
No, they don't agree. That's the problem. If you have everyone have their
consensus, there's consensus on some items, and then there's a vote
and
a majority.
So you're okay with that? So if the majority of the Muslims decide in an Islamic country the punishment for homosexual is this, it's okay?
No, I don't believe that.
You just argued for that, and now you're going against your own argument. You need to be consistent.
It conflicts against my moral compass.
No, but you need to be consistent. You need to be consistent in your standards and your argumentation. You just provide an argument. Democracy is okay. It's okay. If a lot of people, or the majority, decide together, whatever they want to decide, it's okay.
To kill people. So like the Nazis killed the Jews.
So you don't agree with it then?
No, I don't agree with that.
Right. So it's not about a lot of people then. Okay. So how would we, if everyone have their own views, everyone is libertarian, where we want to decide whatever is good for us or individually, how is society going to function? How are we going to live in a society?
Because we've got a majority that make the rules.
So now you're saying
my issue is
majority makes the rules
that are made, because if the majority of people
how does the majority make the rules?
Can I finish? If the majority of people hold a particular view, and talking specifically to sodomy, which is what we were talking about at the start of the conversation, I was trying to understand why, under Sharia, the punishment for homosexuality is death. That's what I was trying to understand.
Because Sharia considers this is a public crime if it's done in a public area.
Right.
You consider, because
in this
you
country,
need to differentiate between homosexual tendencies, like people have tendencies to, have relationship with a tree. You can have tendencies with anything. Islam does not punish you for having these tendencies. Islam says you need to control. For example, people have tendencies to sleep with young children, pedophiles.
Yes.
Right. Do you consider these tendencies is okay to have?
No, because the child's non-consenting. They're too young to consent.
So now the discussion goes.
Okay.
You see now how the discussion moves. The discussion.
What you're doing.
Your sense of morality moves from.
I'm actually talking
rather
about,
than innate behavior and tendencies and desires to whether person is a consenting adult.
No, but I have the intelligence and the life experience to make my own decisions about what I believe and what is right. Whereas a lot of people have that particular moral compass imposed upon them, and it's inflexible and it's unable to define itself and grow and change. There's no progress in Ten Commandments.
So your moral compasses that you talk about.
Yeah, it's not just mine. It's most people who live in a democracy, liberal democracy.
But you don't believe in democracy.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you believe in democracy?
No, I do believe in democracy. So, for instance, in those countries where they execute people,
let's understand one thing.
That is the law, but I don't believe that overrides my moral compass.
No, I want to understand one thing. Do you believe in a system of democracy?
Yes, I do.
Right. So if people within the democratic system decide to do something, you will have to be okay with it, right?
No, I might not agree with it, because it might be against my own moral compass.
So it's nothing to do with democracy then. It's to do with as long as your moral conscience are catered for, your own desires are catered for, then any system, be it dictatorship, socialism, capitalism, liberty,
yeah, whatever, or Sharia, yeah,
or Sharia.
So
right.
that was what
so basically, so basically, the way you live your life is your own desires. You make your desire your own God. This is what the Quran says.
Because I don't believe in
certain
the afterlife.
People, yeah.
I don't believe in it, and this is where I understand that this life is just a blink of the eye for a lot of people, and that the afterlife is what they're setting themselves up for. I don't believe that. I believe that this is the life and that there isn't an afterlife. So therefore, we come from completely different perspectives. And I respect that, but it goes back to that I don't think we're ever going to actually agree.
Okay. What created
everything?
Because
I have a completely different
according to your moral compass,
so
what
I'm
created
perceived
everything?
as immoral by you, and I find you authoritative based on your...
Is it all right to have sex with animal?
Brother.
They can't consent. But anyway,
I've
got to get my mother back to the
hotel. If they make consent. If it's
what I was going to discuss is...
But thank you.
If it's adult animal, it's okay?
No, I don't think it's okay. If we're going to start talking about sex with animals, I think I might scoot off. But thank you very much. It was nice to have a conversation.
Take care.